Logan. Tuana, maybe you will have to request for the mic, I think, or for the stage. Logan, maybe if you can as well, if you are hearing me. Yeah, no worries. Let me see if I can. No, we are not broadcasting on YouTube, but we are trying to record this. So, yeah, let's see. Can you hear me properly? Yeah, hey, Tuana, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great.
Yeah, you're good.
Let's check if Logan is around as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, guys. So, like I was saying, you can use this session to ask any questions that you have with LlamaIndex. So, LlamaIndex, they are sponsoring another special category prize. So it's $1,000 and it's a cash prize, and the qualifying criteria for it would be if you are using LlamaIndex to build Agentic or MCP applications, Gradio applications. So knock yourself out. If you have any technical questions right now or later in the channel, you can post there, and you can post in the chat. Or if you think you have something to ask, I can bring you on the stage as well. So we can do it either way. So Logan would have to request for the stage, I think, in the same way, Tuana.
Yeah, I just texted him.
Awesome. Yeah, we can just wait for one more minute. Yeah, I think we have Logan as well.
Hey guys.
Hey, Logan.
I made it.
Awesome. Yeah, I can hand over the stage to you guys.
Great, thank you. Well, if any of you have any LlamaIndex specific questions, we're here to help, so let us know. And I'd also like to hear what kind of applications, if you have been building with LlamaIndex, what it is you have been building. I'd be curious to hear as well. There was a question in the thread, I believe, Yuvi. So maybe we can start with that. Logan, you already answered quite a bit of it, but maybe we can just share. We can share with the rest, and I'll share the memory blog that we wrote as well.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right, let me try find the thread. So someone had a question about agent state management and feedback loops in multi-agent system. And the question was if there was a best practice or recent update you should know about memory persistence or task delegation. Logan, would you like to elaborate on what you said, and I will grab the new memory blog post we wrote as well.
Yeah. So like generally, I think memory and LlamaIndex is handled like fairly well by like this new memory module we made. It handles both like short-term like conversation history, so like the last X messages within a token limit. But it also has this concept of like memory blocks, where like over time these blocks can like store and retrieve certain like types of memory, essentially, which whether that's just like text or events that have happened throughout the conversation or things that the agent has done. But the nice thing about it is these blocks are like pretty customizable. You can define a custom block that like takes the chat history and like extracts something from it, and then also like returns like something specific. I think it's pretty nice. It's very new though, so I'm curious to see like how people use it. But I think for what this person was asking about in terms of like persisting agent turns and interactions, it's probably a good fit for it.
I've sent over the blog that links to the documentation for the new memory blocks as well. They're quite cool. There's a fact extraction memory block as well, which I really like and would like to see more people use. So if anyone wants to, please go ahead. There's also another question I see now in the chat. For my project, I need to pass LlamaIndex output to a more traditional algorithmic module. I don't know what you mean by that, so if you can elaborate, that might be useful. What is the most reliable way to ensure consistent structured outputs? Off the bat, I think we can talk about the structured outputs functionality we support with most of the model providers that we have. Me and Logan had, Logan just sent it in the chat as well. Me and Logan had a experience, was it 2 weeks ago, where the OpenAI responses module worked a lot better. But the thing with these modules is that you can provide your own schema. That can be a pydantic schema, and the model will always respond in that schema. So that should be quite useful. Anything to add, Logan, or shall I just go down?
No.
There's a lot of questions coming in, so I'll just go down the list now.
Yeah, keep going down. That was good.
So there's another one for my project. Oh, actually, I don't know the answer to this one, so maybe you know. For my project, I wanted to create a voice agent with LlamaIndex. What do you think would be the best approach for this?
Yeah, voice is something we probably don't support super well at the moment. I did for example, like when the OpenAI like real-time API came out, I made like an example of it using it with Python. I think a lot of these like APIs like Google Real Time or like Gemini Live, the way that I would integrate LlamaIndex with them is like use the API as provided by like OpenAI or Google. And then like for stuff like, if you want to integrate like tool calls and stuff like that, that could like a tool call could be like a LlamaIndex workflow or a LlamaIndex function, an index retriever, that kind of thing. Voice applications are like very real time. So like you kind of need to, I don't know, be like tightly integrated with your front end and that kind of thing when using voice. Not a
Do you
great
have
answer.
your example somewhere?
I do. I hope I'm hesitant to link it because I haven't updated it since the API came out, but I don't know how accurate it is anymore. But I can find it and throw it in the chat.
There's another question. This one's more MCP related. Well, I've also skipped some, so I have to go back up as well. I have built a RAG project to talk with my CSV, Excel, PDF files, which deal with text and unstructured data. I want to convert this RAG into Agentic RAG and use MCP as well. How can I start with LlamaIndex? I've lost it. LlamaIndex for this use case. Oh, there's a bunch of ways you can do this. I think there's like maybe 10, 15 different ways you can approach this. Maybe I can send over a few resources. So you can build a LlamaIndex workflow. And Logan introduced a couple of weeks ago a set of helper functions that allow you to do a few things. One, you can use an existing MCP server and access all of the tools that are served within that MCP server. And you can inherently provide those as tools to a LlamaIndex Agentic RAG workflow that you build. That's one way. The other thing you can do, once you have your Agentic RAG workflow, you can actually serve that as its own MCP server. So there's a helper function, something like MCP as MCP server or something like that. So let me send over those resources. So you have quite a few options on how you can make use of those. Oh yeah, Logan already sent them, I think. So if you're looking at the chat, Logan sent a couple of exactly that.
Yeah, a detailed page on how to use MCP and LlamaIndex for everything that Tuana just mentioned. Yeah, hopefully that helps.
Do you mind elaborating a bit more about what you mean? Vanina Veen, I think is your username. I have one project where I need to control computer on a cloud. How does LlamaIndex allow me to connect with computer and do automation? I'm not entirely sure what you're asking.
Computer use automation is probably handled mostly through, I think you need like two components to that. You need like I think like some kind of way to get like the state of the computer, whether that's like a screenshot or like HTML of like where the computer is, like if it's on a browser, and you could like feed that to the LLM. So you could like pass images and text to the LLM. We have like multimodal support. And then in terms of like interacting with that computer, you would have to implement like function calls to like make calls to your cloud computer essentially. Um, that's how I would approach that problem at least. I could send some docs on multimodal if people have not seen that yet.
Someone also shared, I think, for the project they're working on, that sounds pretty cool, honestly. Apparently, they're trying to build a multi-turn agent communication between two characters. One agent handles user prompts, style tagging, moderation, and reviews outputs, and the other generates images, audio, and subtitles. That's pretty neat. Ramsey K would love to see that if you have it in an open source repository or something. Yuvi's question is something that I also tried to learn myself over the last few weeks, ever since joining LlamaIndex. When should hackathon participants use LlamaIndex workflows versus basic function agent patterns or other frameworks? Would you like to answer that, Logan? Or I can try answer and you can tell me if my answer is good.
I'll let you answer it.
Okay, so this is how I would explain it. A LlamaIndex workflow, you have complete control on exactly the shape of the workflow, when what happens, what step triggers what event, what step may loop back to itself or to another step, etc. You have full control over exactly the shape of the actions and path your agent is taking, basically. You can, of course, have steps that have things that might happen like decision steps, etc., that branch out. Whereas a function agent is a lot easier to start with, but it's a lot more similar to completely relying on a large language model to decide which tool to run when. So it kind of depends on how much you want to customize and how much control you want to have over the overall flow of your agent application. So a function agent is, you can think of it as an agent that you just provide a list of tools and you're relying on a model at each turn to decide which tool to invoke. Does that make sense? What do you think, Logan?
I think that makes sense. I think that definitely makes sense. I think like generally like the function like the agent classes are going to be like convenient to use. But if you try to like expand the scope of like what you want them to do too much, or like you have a very specific sequence of actions in mind, you might want to like step away from the function agent and like use like a workflow to define, you know, that sequence of actions and kind of insert, you know, agentic choices at key points where you need them. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. But that's how I see it. And I will say like a lot of our LLMs, like you don't necessarily need to use the agent class to like get tool calling. There is like a lower level like tool calling API for LLMs that have tool calls in their API. I call it like manual tool calling or like manual agents. I'll throw a link of like an example of doing it with OpenAI, for example.
I've also seen that Ramsey is going to open source it, but still working on it. But they've also mentioned that they had some problems with the memory management. So I just want to add, if you do notice anything that doesn't seem right, if you think it's a bug or you think something is missing, we would love it if you create an issue on the LlamaIndex repo. We really rely on the open source community to let us know when things aren't working. So if you think it's a bug, let us know. Can I build React agent reasoning and acting pattern using LlamaIndex?
Definitely can. I'm
Oh,
getting
yeah,
some
you've already
more. I'm
answered.
getting more links for them, but and then I also saw someone ask about Kodak, which we actually do also support, which I have more links for. I will gather that in a second. Uh, but
I'm scrolling up to see. If we have missed any questions, please just write them again. See some people typing, so I'm just waiting in the meantime.
I found my docs.
Yeah, Yuvi, this is the one where we spoke about, but I think if they do have any problems with the memory components, it seems like they've built their own, but if they do have any specific issues, let's get them to create issues and open bug reports on LlamaIndex.
I just threw in a bunch of docs links for Kodak agent and React agent, both like pre-built and kind of like from scratch with workflows. If you're looking to build like agents or like customize agents, like their behavior a lot, those two examples, like either the pre-built or the from scratch, will be pretty helpful for people.
There's another question I can read out for you, Logan. What is your approach regarding supervised learning to system prompts? I guess implementing supervised learning to system prompts. For example, I have some feed initial prompts, then eventually it will update the system prompts based on learning from conversations. It's the one from Sunny Naveen.
Yeah, I see it. We don't have anything out of the box for this today. If I was to implement this today, that would to me be like a custom memory block in a memory module. So, when the chat history gets flushed to the memory block, taking that chat history and using it to like refine a system prompt, for example. I don't think I have a good docs example of like that exactly, but probably the memory docs is where I would start. And obviously, like if you're looking to like, if you have like a data set of stuff, maybe you want to like look more into like something like DSPy. But okay, yeah, here's a docs example for like a custom memory block that should help. Definitely read that docs page if you're like new to that memory module, so that you understand like how memory gets flushed and that kind of thing. Once you understand how it works, I think it's pretty intuitive, but it might take a bit of reading at first to understand the flow.
How can I efficiently cache and reuse user-specific session data, like generated summaries or profiles in a multi-turn Gradio app using LlamaIndex, particularly when users might revisit or regenerate outputs later? Do you think they can use the workflow context for this, Logan?
You could,
Because
yeah,
the
like you could
context could be saved.
You could cache like, given like a specific user input, you can map that to like something that you generated before if you don't want to like call the LLM again. You can really cache it anywhere. Like you could spin up Redis if you want or something like that. But there's nothing like, I guess there's nothing like built in purely for this in LlamaIndex at the moment. Kind of up to you how you want to cache that data. The workflow context is probably where I would start reading your question again.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some docs on how context is. Do we have docs on or examples on reloading context once the workflow is reinitialized?
We do. Let me find that. I think is it this maintaining?
You can initialize a workflow from scratch, or you can initialize a workflow with what we call a context object, and you can save from previous workflow runs anything you really want into that context.
think we're good on
You
sound.
speak.
I think Yuvi was having sound issues.
Yeah.
Or some people are having... Okay. Okay, now we're having sound issues. Some people can hear Yuvi, some people can hear me. Okay. Sounds like we're maybe back to normal.
Yuvi appears muted to me anyway, so...
Yeah, he backed off.
Yeah.
Going back to open source LLMs, I think, like I said, Llama is probably your best bet because it has like tool calling built into APIs. Hugging Face Inference API is another good one. But I think in general, you might find that like agentic behavior with open source LLMs can be a bit of a challenge compared to like frontier models. You probably need to do a lot of prompt engineering, error handling, that kind of thing. But that is that, I think. Okay, sound is all good. I also saw a question about guardrails. I think probably the best way to implement guardrails in LlamaIndex today is just like calling the LLM and then calling something else to like analyze its response, whether that's like another LLM call or like some kind of like static function. That's probably the approach I would take it if I'm not using a third-party tool. It's a lot of prompt engineering. I see a question about prompt engineering strategies for like creative outputs, like create like, you know, marketing copy, stuff like that. I don't think I have like a specific prompt strategy for that at the moment. I have seen, this is kind of funny, but like there was like maybe like a paper like a year ago showing that like if you tell the LLM, like if you give like more like emotional prompts, like saying that like you're going to lose your job if this isn't done properly, stuff like that, LLM will get better outputs. It could be an approach to try. It's true. They proved it in a paper. I actually do that sometimes if I'm really mad that I need an output.
That caused some controversy in the chat. I think we have about 5 minutes left. I think that was our allotted time. Yuvi, let us know. So if you have any last questions, send them over. And for those who still have questions after this, I'm going to hang around the Hugging Face Discord server. Feel free to tag me. I am at a conference, so I'm not at my laptop the whole time, but I'll try to keep an eye out and tag Logan wherever I don't yet know the answer.
Hey, Tuana, thank you so much. I hope you guys can hear me now.
Yes, we can. Well, I can.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, both Logan and Tuana. And I think this has been wonderful. We had a great turnout. And yeah, we are right on top of the hour. So we can, we can call it off now. So like Tuana said, she's around on Discord. So guys, please feel free to reach out. And you maybe, it might be helpful for you to go through the threads that have already been discussed before just straight away reaching out. So yeah, just following basic Discord, 101. So yeah, I think we are good. And I'll end this session. This has been great, very helpful. Thank you so much, both of you. And thank you guys for joining in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck to
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.